Scientifically proven evidence for God's existence and Jesus Christ as God. Introduction. Welcome. In this in-depth exploration, we will examine the scientific evidence and miracles that strongly point to the existence of God and affirm that Jesus Christ is God incarnate. We will cover the cosmological evidence, the supernatural evidence through miracles, and scientific studies that make a compelling case for the divinity of Jesus Christ. This evidence is not just theoretical but is supported by real-world scientific discoveries and investigations that leave little room for doubt. Let's begin by understanding the nature of God, followed by evidence that directly connects Jesus Christ to the Creator of the universe. 1. Defining God: timeless, spaceless, personal, immaterial, moral being. Before we dive into the scientific evidence, it is important to establish a foundational definition of God. A classical theological understanding of God involves the following attributes. Timeless: God is not bound by time. He is eternal, existing outside the constraints of past, present, and future. Spaceless: God exists beyond space and matter, making him omnipresent. Personal: God is a relational being who engages with his creation on a personal level. Immaterial: God is not composed of physical matter, he is a spiritual being. Moral: God defines the very nature of morality. He is the ultimate standard of right and wrong and instills these truths in human consciousness. This definition of God sets the stage for understanding how scientific evidence and miracles point to his existence and the divinity of Jesus Christ. 2. The cosmological argument: the beginning of the universe. The first compelling piece of scientific evidence for God's existence comes from cosmology, particularly the Big Bang Theory. Big Bang Theory: the universe had a beginning in 1929. Edwin Hubble discovered that the universe is expanding. This led to the realization that the universe had a beginning around 13.8 billion years ago. This moment of creation demands an explanation. From a scientific perspective, the Big Bang points directly to a beginner, a cause for the beginning of the universe. Fine-tuning of the universe: the universe is fine-tuned for life. The constants of nature, such as gravity and the electromagnetic force, are set at extremely precise values. If these constants were even slightly different, life would not be possible. This is not a product of chance. It suggests the work of an intelligent designer. The evidence from cosmology strongly points toward the existence of a creator. The universe had a beginning, and its fine-tuning suggests it was designed by a being who transcends time, space, and matter. 3. The argument from truth: objective morality and universal truth. Another critical piece of evidence for God's existence is the reality of objective morality and truth. Objective morality refers to moral values and duties that exist independently of human opinions. For instance, most people agree that murder is wrong, no matter where or when they live. If objective morality exists, there must be an objective moral lawgiver, God. Truth exists. Similarly, truth is objective. The laws of logic, mathematics, and science hold universally. These universal truths point to a mind that understands and holds them in place, a mind that is timeless, spaceless, and immaterial. Both the existence of objective morality and objective truth provide a powerful argument that there must be a higher, moral, and rational being behind the universe, God. 4. Jesus Christ, the incarnation of God. One of the strongest evidences for the existence of God and his intervention in history is Jesus Christ. The Bible teaches that Jesus is God incarnate, the Son of God who became human to offer salvation to the world. But how do we know that Jesus is God? Jesus Christ's life and works: Jesus of Nazareth lived 2,000 years ago and performed acts that can only be explained by the divine. He claimed to be God, stating in John chapter 10 verse 30, "I and the Father are one." His miracles, including healing the sick, raising the dead, and calming storms, attest to his divinity. The resurrection of Jesus is the cornerstone of the Christian faith. If Jesus truly rose from the dead, this would be irrefutable proof that he is God incarnate. Multiple witnesses: Jesus' resurrection was witnessed by hundreds of people. After his death on the cross, he appeared to his disciples and many others, showing his wounds and proving he was alive. The empty tomb: the empty tomb of Jesus is a fact recognized by scholars and historians. If Jesus had not risen, his body would have been paraded by the Roman authorities to silence his followers. Transformation of the apostles: the apostles went from being fearful and disillusioned after Jesus' death to boldly proclaiming his resurrection, even in the face of persecution and death. The resurrection is the ultimate proof that Jesus Christ is not merely a prophet or a good man, but God himself. 5. Eucharistic miracles, supernatural evidence in the bread and wine. One of the most compelling pieces of supernatural evidence for the divinity of Jesus is the phenomenon of Eucharistic miracles. These miracles confirm the claim that the bread and wine used in the Eucharist are truly the body and blood of Christ. Eucharistic miracle in Lanciano, Italy, 8th century. In Lanciano, a priest who was struggling with doubt during the celebration of the Mass saw the bread and wine transform into actual human flesh and blood. Scientific examination. When examined by doctors, the flesh was identified as human heart tissue, and the blood was found to be AB blood type, the same type found in the Shroud of Turin. The Eucharist, in this case, became not just a symbol, but actual human flesh and blood, confirming the words of Jesus in John chapter 6 verse 55, "For my flesh is real food, and my blood is real drink." The miracle in Sokolka, Poland, 2008. In Sokolka, Poland, a consecrated host became stained with what appeared to be human blood. Scientists analyzed the sample and found it to be human blood with the same AB blood type as the Lanciano miracle, offering further confirmation of the real presence of Jesus in the Eucharist. 6. Supernatural healings, scientifically verified miracles. Miracles of healing are further evidence of God's supernatural intervention. Many medically unexplainable healings have been documented over the years, often taking place after prayer or pilgrimages to sacred sites like Lourdes. Case study, Sister Bernadette Moriai, 2018. Sister Bernadette Moriai had been paralyzed and suffered from severe pain due to cauda equina syndrome. After visiting Lourdes, she experienced a complete healing and regained full mobility. Her healing was investigated by medical experts, and the Lourdes Medical Bureau concluded that there was no medical explanation for her recovery. This case stands as powerful evidence of a miraculous healing. 7. DNA and genetic evidence, the fingerprint of God. The complexity of DNA is another testament to the intelligence and design behind creation. DNA complexity. The information encoded in DNA is staggering. It holds instructions for building and maintaining life, and it is astonishingly complex, showing evidence of a mind behind its creation. Genetic mutations and the fine-tuning of life. The fact that life exists on Earth, in all its complexity, points toward the intelligent design of a creator who designed the genetic code to support life. 8. Conclusion. The scientific case for Jesus Christ as God. The scientific evidence for the existence of God and the divinity of Jesus Christ is overwhelming. From the cosmological arguments for the universe's beginning to the resurrection of Jesus, the Eucharistic miracles, and scientifically verified healings, all of these miracles point to the same conclusion. Jesus Christ is God incarnate. The fine-tuning of the universe and the origin of life suggest a divine creator. The resurrection of Jesus offers irrefutable evidence of his divinity. Eucharistic miracles confirm the real presence of Jesus in the sacrament. Supernatural healings point to God's ongoing involvement in human affairs. The complexity of DNA further reveals God's handiwork. Given this scientific evidence, it is clear that Jesus Christ is not merely a prophet, but God himself. There is no other reasonable explanation for the overwhelming evidence pointing to his divinity. Thank you for joining me in this exploration of the scientific evidence for God's existence and the divinity of Jesus Christ. May it inspire faith and conviction in the truth of the Christian message. If you like more videos, please like this presentation, share and comment, to help this channel to grow, to give you more podcasts shortly.
The promise of the resurrection and eternal life. The promise of the resurrection and eternal life is central to Christian belief. The resurrection of Jesus is the first fruits of the resurrection that all believers will experience at the end of time. The Catholic Church teaches that the resurrection of the body and the life of the world to come are the fulfillment of God's eternal plan of salvation, where all who are faithful to Jesus Christ will enjoy eternal happiness with God in heaven. The promise of the resurrection and eternal life. The promise of the resurrection and eternal life is central to Christian belief. The resurrection of Jesus is the first fruits of the resurrection that all believers will experience at the end of time. The Church teaches that the resurrection of the body and the life of the world to come are the fulfillment of God's eternal plan of salvation. We're all salvation. We're all who are faithful to Jesus Christ will enjoy eternal happiness with God in heaven. The promise of the resurrection and eternal life. The promise of the resurrection and eternal life is central to Christian belief. The resurrection of Jesus is the first fruits of the resurrection that all believers will experience at the end of time. Of the resurrection and eternal life. The promise of the resurrection and eternal life. The promise of the resurrection and eternal life.